Friends, please join me in welcoming our sir, Sankaraj Subramanian. Sir, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope I'm audible. And glad to meet you all in this wonderful session of Repton. And yes, it's been a pleasure for me to join all the global speakers and to provide awareness to the community with regards to cyber security and other things. And today's topic is about cyber war and cyber attacks. So when it comes to cyber war and cyber attacks, you should be knowing, like previously, when it comes to okay, I think I should share my screen. Okay, great. Sharing my screen. Perfect. Yes. So war, as you all know, like previously it happened physically with the lot of people from your end. Then it advanced with the weapons what you have used. That is how history has taught us about wars. But with the advancement of digital technology and digital economy here, like nowadays, nations target one another with digital wars, with cyber wars. So what happens with cyber wars? I'll give you a brief of what can happen with cyber wars and how cyber war is going to affect the economy of one country, or how it is going to bring down a country to in terms of economy, or in terms of the perception of people what they have, or in terms of industrialization or revolution, whatever can happen. So digital war or cyber war is one immediate threat which we'll have to address. And speaking about this, yes, one type of this is espionage, which is actually a form of cyber attack that steals classified or sensitive information or intellectual property to gain advantage over a competitive government agency. That you call it as espionage. We had a lot of espionage happening recently. As you all know, you should have seen a lot of news about this. Say one is about the massive spying by the US. Yes, we have seen this massive spying by US on many countries, right, which was revealed by Edward Snowden. The other one is like NSA recording, nearly every cell phone conversation of other countries, which it wants to, have an influence on. So these kind of things comes under espionage, which and this is going to have a very great impact. The other form of attack is going to be sabotage, which again, it involves in attacking computers, in the computing systems, which is again involved in, controlling critical infrastructure. So when it comes to critical infrastructure, yes, as we all know, the critical infrastructure with digital evolution, yes, it is being controlled with internet and, internet enabled devices. So sabotage, again, it involves attacking computing systems, which often controls other critical infrastructures of a nation. One prominent example of how this was done was, you should have heard about Stuxnet. So Stuxnet is a malicious computer worm which was first uncovered probably around 2010, and which was the main reason for the substantial damage to the nuclear program of Iran. Right? So we have a lot of cyber wars going on between countries which have started as cold wars, then later moved on to a physical war. Now, yes, we are in the era of cyber war, and yes, many countries, they have taken different countermeasures to overcome this cyber war. Say if you take Netherlands has formed NCSC, which is cyber defense, comes under National Cyber Security Center. You have Germany, which has CDS, which is the Cyber Defense Station Unit. And in India, we have CERT, that is Indian Computer Emergency Response Team. And we also have in India, we have NCIIPC, which is National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So every organization like this, they hire security professionals, they hire ethical hackers, and they try to maintain a secured infrastructure or a secure digital environment through which they can achieve a lot of things here. Now, when it comes to cyber attacks, the most common cyber attacks which can happen, it can come through different things. One common cyber warfare or cyber war which happens is a DOS attack, a DOS or a DDoS attack. Yes. So when it comes to a DOS or a DDoS attack, you should be knowing it is a denial of service attack, or it is a distributed denial of service attack. Distributed denial of service attack, which can happen. It is predominantly to bring a server down. Right? It is to bring a server down, or any network infrastructure which is controlling others. Yes, to bring it down. Yes, we attackers or countries, they perform these DOS and DDoS attacks on different other countries. Say, for example, if you take this, okay, give me this. A basic DOS attack can be like this. Say, if you are a person sitting in a computer here and you are connected with internet, and this is a server. This is a server of, say, for example, this can be a server of xyz.com. We don't know which company is it, and this is a web server of xyz.com. And this server, yes, xyz.com can be accessed globally from anywhere connected to internet. And you being the bad guy here, what you want to do, you wanted to bring down this server. And today we will see what different methods do we have, or what different strategies hackers use to bring this server down. It is not for promoting all these tools and softwares which they have. Not for that. The idea is to know how an attacker here uses the free tools which are available from internet. He doesn't have to create his own domain, create his own server, invest a lot of money for setting up this kind of attack. With the available free tools, whatever which is present in internet, what maximum damage he can do to a website like this. And again, what countermeasures they'll have to do to prevent these kind of attacks. Yes, companies have come up, or countries have come up with different countermeasures, increasing the amount of investment on securing their infrastructure by including a lot of security devices. Billions and billions dollars of money is being invested on securing every network infrastructure. But beyond that, yes, hackers and attackers, they try to find a way through which they were able to compromise a particular network or a particular server. Right? So to understand the basics of what a DOS attack is, or what a DDoS attack is, it's going to be very simple. So we'll take a very common example of xyz.com, which is a simple server here. It's a web server, and based on the configuration of the web server, it is going to take requests. People from different locations and from different geographical locations, they are going to access this particular website here. And as you all know, computer communication happens in packets. They all happens in packets. Two computers here, you want to communicate with each other. You have a computer here, you have another computer here. Any data transmission or any communication between these two computers will happen in the form of packets. If I say hi, that goes in 2 packets. If he says hi, how are you, that comes in 3 or 4 packets. So all computer communication happens in packets. So when I open my browser here in my computer and I type xyz.com, what happens in the background? We'll go for this. We'll just type, I'll just type google.com, enter, and Google website opens. So literally in the background, we have around 300 to 500 packets transmitted between my computer and the Google server. So it is all based on packets. How computer communication happens. And with this logic, the web server here will have a particular configuration of how much packets it can handle. Right? It can have, say, for an example, it can handle 1 lakh packets. Say probably in, we'll say 5 seconds. This is just for an example. So within 5 seconds, if it gets 1 lakh packets from different computers, yes, the response time is going to be very great. Say the page can open in 0.1 milliseconds. So what happens if 2 lakh people or 2 lakh requests is being raised and the server is getting a hit with 2 lakh packets? Now the response time, it can increase to 0.10 milliseconds, or the response time is going to increase. And what happens if 10 lakh packets within 5 seconds, if it is being hit by with 10 lakh packets in 5 seconds, what is going to happen? The server response time is going to slow down. Yes. And this kind of server response time, whether it is slowing down or not, we have a site here which says, is it down right now.com. We have a specific site which is going to measure the response of each and every website, which is going to check how what is the response time and what time. Say if it is facebook.com which you want to analyze, let me give check, and it is going to give me the response time of Facebook. And if I'm performing a DOS attack on Facebook, and if I wanted to check if the server is actually getting slowed down or not, yes, we can have a look at this, or you can actually go to the server and see how fast is the website. This is a very common scenario which you should have faced in a common website like IRCTC website. This train ticketing booking website, usually when you try to log in by, say, for example, 3 p.m., the website, it opens very immediately. The response time will be swift. The website will be very fast. But you know, the Tatkal booking timing is 10 a.m. And by 10 a.m., if you try to log into the website, yes, the website is going to slow down and it is going to respond to you very slowly. Why is that? Because the server, you know, if it is configured for this particular configuration, and if it is getting a lot of hits like this, then probably the server is going to slow down. Now we are going to use this concept, or we are not going to use this concept. Attackers try to use this concept. This is for a normal server. For cloud-based services, we have a totally different scenario. I'll tell you what scenario we have. But for a normal server, first, like, try to understand what happens here. Fine. So this is with all the packets which is being raised. So this particular guy here, this attacker here, what he uses a software called X. Right? He uses a software called X, and the main objective of the software, or the main function of this software, is to, you know, is to shoot, or is to trouble the server with millions and millions of packets within a very short span of time. Fine. It is going to simulate, or it is going to send millions and n millions of packets to the server here, you know, from your computer, and it is trying to slow down the server. The server will be busy responding back to you, to each and every packet. And meanwhile, when there is a normal person here who is trying to access this website, he feels the website is slow. Fine. This can be a specific attack scenario which can happen. And we have many free tools like this which can actually perform this. Say, let me show you with a common tool. Again, the reason for showing tools is not to you know, promote the usage of these tools. To be very clear, is to understand how easy it is for a very common person, or a person who wanted to do something very bad, and how internet is helping him in getting all these tools. And this is also for you guys to know how attack can happen, so that tomorrow, in case if you guys develop a website and you want your website to be safe, the knowledge, offensive knowledge, whatever you're going to grab, is always going to help you with the security of your website. So we have a lot of tools here. So let me go for this tool called Pen Menu. Pen Menu is a very common tool here. And when you go for this /Pen Menu, let me open this tool, enter. And this tool is asking me what options, or what is that you will have to do. It is asking me, do you want to do a recon, you want to do an extraction, or quit readme, or you want to do a DOS attack? I wanted to perform a DOS attack. Let me click 2, enter here. Fine. And it is giving me further options. What options it is giving me? It is asking me what type of DOS attack you want to do. So we have to understand different types of DOS attack here. We have a TCP SYN-FLOOD attack. We have a TCP acknowledgement attack, reset. You have a slow loris attack. You have so much of attack which is happening. Right? We can choose any attack. But before that, try to know what these attacks mean. So these are different flags. Say, normally what happens is, when you try to connect, when I type xyz.com from my computer here, what happens in the background? You will have a TCP 3-way handshake which is enabled. What is a TCP 3-way handshake? When you meet a person here for the first time, for the first time. When you meet him, you will not immediately jump into the conversation. You will say hi, and he says hi. Then you introduce yourself, and after that, the exchange of data or the main objective of your meeting will happen, right? So initially, you both are getting comfortable with just a handshake. Like that, your computer and the server, when your computer wants to connect to the server, it is going to send a packet which is called a SYN packet, a synchronous packet, right? A packet which is called SYN packet, and this is just like sending a connection request in Facebook. You're going to send a connection request to someone who is very whom you know or whom you want to get connected with, and the server, in case if it is interested, it is going to send you a SYNAC. It will say, okay, I'm okay with your connection request, and then your computer is going to respond back with an acknowledgement packet. This is called three-way handshake. This is called TCP three-way handshake. Fine. And here we are using different flags like this: SYN flag, SYNAC. You have acknowledgement flag. In case if the server doesn't like your connection, the server doesn't trust you, you are a computer with a different IP address or from a different country which it doesn't want to connect with, immediately after you send a SYN packet, what it will send a reset packet, which means, no, I don't want to connect with you. Fine. So now we have a SYN packet, we have an acknowledgement packet, we have a lot of packets like this. And look at this tool here. This tool is asking, do you want to perform a TCP SYN flood attack? So now, what do you mean by a TCP SYN flood attack? TCP SYN flood attack is going to be an attack something like this. From your computer to this particular server called xyz.com, you're going to send millions and millions of packets, fine, for asking for a connection request. It is all going to be SYN packet. You're going to send a lot of packets here. That is perfectly fine. But these packets will be marked with a SYN flag. The server, it will think that you are requesting for a connection here, or so many people are trying to connect, and it will try to respond you back with a SYNAC. So you're keeping the server busy here, fine. Or you can also go for a TCP acknowledgement flood attack, which this particular tool here is going to send a lot of packets with the flag marked as acknowledgement flag. You can also send a reset flag. When you send a packets with reset flag, the server will be confused. Who is resetting our connection? To whom did we send a connection request? Why we are getting reset connection? We can send any packet with any flag set, but we'll have to send more number of packets so that our intention of keeping this server busy is achieved. Once if it is done, then the server might slow down. Right? In case if you are not able to, this happens for a very small and medium level website which has no security configuration. With just one person here, he tries to bring down the server. Yes, he is able to bring down the server. But for a website, for a government website, or for a defense website, or a military website, wherein the server is very strong. What you do, you get confused. You try a lot of tools, but still the server is either rejecting all your packets or it is accepting. The server is very strong. Right? The server is very big. The server is huge, and it is going to respond all the packets. Now, what you do, you try to contact others, people with similar interest from different locations. And what you do, you ask them to target the same website from their computers. And this is called DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack. Right? And here you also have this particular attack, which is called as slow loris, which means it is going to send a lot of packets, connection request packet to the server, and the server is going to respond to you back, and you will not complete the transaction here. Just try to understand this. What you're trying to do is this: just like TCP SYN flood attack and other types of attack, here you're going to send a lot of connection requests to the server here, and the server has responded. And it is waiting for your reply. And say if the timeout is happening in 20 milliseconds, and you will wait till the 19th millisecond. When the server is about to abort the connection, then you'll again initiate the connection. Again, the server will respond to you back, and you'll wait for the response. Again, at the end, till the next moment, you'll wait, and then you will respond. This is called slow loris. I hope you should have seen this animal, slow loris, which will be very slow. This is slow loris. It will move very slow. It will act very slow. Similarly, a slow loris kind of attack is going to simulate something which is going to slow down the server. So when I click 9, which means slow loris, and it is asking enter the target. So let me, you cannot try it in real-time websites. I'm just giving it as some website, say xyz.com, port default is 80, perfect. Number of connections, default is 2000. Okay, let it keep it as default. And what time interval do you want to send the packet? We'll choose it as random, enter. Do you want SSL? No, I don't want SSL. Now launching slow loris. See here, number of packets which is going, connection request. Fine. So now we'll stop this, because this is how a normal DOS attack works. And yes, you have a lot of other tools. We also have this tool which is called as Xerxes, which is again going to perform the same one, Xerxes. And let me give ./Xerxes, and let me give fake site.com, port number 80, enter, and see here it is going to send a lot of packets. So the main objective of these DOS attacks which is happening is sending off a lot of packets to dump into the server and to make the server really busy and to slow down the server. This is how it works. Now coming to cyber war, what countries are doing? We have a lot of countries here. We have so many countries which target each other with a lot of DDoS attack which is happening from this country to this country and from this to this. We have a global map which actually shows how much of DDoS attack is happening. DDoS graph. Okay, this. Okay, so this is going to simulate the cyber attack which is happening from one country to other. You click on the, see here, from which country to which country, where the traffic is getting redirected. Fine, it gives you a basic idea of who is targeting whom. This is not a real-time scenario. This is a record which happened, like I think it's from March or February. Fine, but this gives you a basic idea of how countries, they attack each other, and they also use a sophisticated operating system. Say as an attacker for this DOS attack, you might be using RoboLinux, which is again a user-friendly Linux distribution. It has no VPN, I mean, like with no logs, a VPN, and you have a lot of privacy tools like Tor and other things which is inbuilt. And you also have BleachBit, you have Enigma, you have a lot of things which is inbuilt. You also have Sabian Linux, which is another Linux distribution, which is going to give starting of Tor while the time of booting. So we have specific operating systems like this. You also have Anonymous, which is again a different operating system, which is used only for a DOS attack kind of thing. And yes, simulations, they are different, but you will have to understand from personal point of view, you'll have to understand how a DOS attack works, so that tomorrow when you create your own website, you will have to be careful of preventing your website from a lot of attacks like this. Fine. And when it comes to cyber attacks, we have a lot of cyber attacks which is happening. You have ransomware attack, you have Trojans and malware. You have phishing attacks, which is quite common, and you have a lot of other attacks. Today we'll be seeing about phishing attacks. I'll tell you how phishing works, or how attackers are using phishing based attacks, and how you get convinced with the email whatever you get, or with the URL whatever you get. Fine. And how easy it is to to create tools like this, and how to use those tools. So when it comes to phishing, We can go for, say, we'll go for advanced phishing. This is one type of tool which is going to generate a fake login page. This is going to do this. A tool like this, it works in WAN, wide area network, means it doesn't work in your LAN alone, it can work in your WAN. So this particular tool called advanced phishing, what does it do? It has templates, right? It has templates of different websites. Say you name Gmail, or you want Instagram, or you want Facebook. Fine. A lot of websites like this, you can call it as cloning. When you do cloning manually, and when you make this process manual, this is going to be a time-consuming process, and you will have to work a lot. Say when you look at a site like facebook.com, and when you try to clone this site, what you'll have to do, you will have to create an exact replica of this site, and this particular site, you will host it in your own server. So the URL might look something like this, zabc.com. It is not going to be facebook.com. The URL is going to be entirely different, but you will try to create a replica of this site. And yes, people might get convinced with the page what you have created, and you will be hosting this in your server, and you'll be sending this link to your victim. And when the victim clicks this link, when he clicks this in the computer, or when he clicks this in in his mobile, he gets convinced that it is a real-time Facebook. It is a real Facebook page, and it is not a fake one. And they are going to enter their username and password, and you will get their username and password. A pretty basic example of what is going to happen with spoofing and phishing kind of pages, right? So this tool here minimizes the risk of you creating or cloning pages like this and hosting it in your own server. So it is going to have inbuilt templates like this. All you'll have to do is choose any one of the template, right? Choose any one of the template here, and say if you choose Facebook, and what it is going to do, it is going to create a malicious link for Facebook. It is going to clone the Facebook page. It is going to host it in its own server. You don't have to host it in your server. This will host in its own server, and then finally you will get a URL. And this URL, you can make it convincing, like it will look something like this. It might look like facebook.com/ and you might get something else here. So when any user looks at this particular URL here, he is going to believe that it is facebook.com. He is going to enter his username and password. And when he enters his username and password, probably you'll get the username and password here. So that is how your usernames and passwords are getting exported. And when you're looking at the working of this tool, probably you will look it easier. So we'll go for this advanced phishing / phishing tools, and it is just giving us an option. You use it for educational purpose only. Yes, you're going to use it for an educational purpose. And look at these options. You have a lot of websites, and you have nearly 32 websites of templates of these websites which are available. And these templates are inbuilt. So it is asking you, what do you want to choose? You can choose anything. Say in case if you want to choose, we'll choose Facebook. So I'll give 02, enter, and it says now it is starting to clone. And after it is cloning, it is hosting its own server. And after it has hosted its own server, it will ask you whether you want to change the URL or not. You want to keep it as a plain URL, or you want to change the URL which you want to make it look like it came from Facebook. Fine. So after this, it is going to give us a URL, and you can copy that URL, send it to anyone. And it is asking us, do you want to modify the URL? Yes, modify the URL. And it says this, right? So let us copy this and send it to anyone. Okay, let me send it to, okay. Okay, let me send this to someone. This, okay, this and this. Let me send this here to my mobile and let me open up this. When you open this particular link here, when you open this link, it is going to be the exact page of Facebook, which you'll find it very difficult to find out the difference between the actual page and the the page which you have got. Give me 1 minute, or else I can close this. Let me open this here. Web dot. Let's see if okay, let me copy this link. Copy link address. Let me paste this link to everyone here. You can click this link from your Zoom chat. No harm. You can click this and you'll get the Facebook page. Give your username and password. Let us see how many usernames and passwords we get. I've sent it in the Zoom chat box. Please click that link either from your mobile or from your computer, and you'll see the exact page of Facebook. You can give your username and password and check. Tunnel not found. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Fine. You might get usernames and passwords like this. When they give this, you will get username and password of your victim here. Fine. And how much time did we take? Not less than 5 minutes. Fine. And when you start looking at the link, you'll have to be very careful. Why? Because we usually look at links like this. When you look at links, you will look at the starting of the link, which says www.facebook.com. Yes, that's it. You will never ever, you'll never ever look at a link completely at the URL. Fine. We are not going to do this. Why? Because we'll first look at facebook.com and we'll get convinced that it is from Facebook, and then you're going to try with this. Fine. Similarly, another phishing tool which makes it very convincing for you to look. Say, in case if I send you this link, and if you think no, Facebook is not going to. If you want to log in Facebook, then you'll think I'm going to open up my browser. I'll type facebook.com and I'm going to use Facebook like that. Just like when you open this and type you want to access Facebook, you're going to type facebook.com like this and you're going to access. Now, what do you think when you receive this in a message? When you receive this from any unknown source like this, you are not going to click that link. Yes, but if you receive an email, which says there is a suspicious activity in your Facebook link, and you will have to please click verify that if it is you or not. Sometimes when you get emails like this, that time for sure you're going to click. Yes, Fishmailer is one such tool which is going to give you options like this. Again, Fishmailer CV. And when you look at the availability of these tools, say something like this, say you go for phishing, just type GitHub, enter, see you get the tool here which is free of cost, and the installation is as much as simple as what you can think, and it is very easy to use. And when you go for Fishmailer, see here, so the availability of tools and the availability of any software or application with tools for call spoofing. Okay. We'll first cover up with phishing, and then we'll go for that. Fine. Tools like this, they are readily available for for usage. Yes, you can use it for testing purpose. On one good note, yes, we can use for testing purpose. But on the other note, these kind of tools are used for a lot of illegal purpose, and you will have to be very sure, and you will have to be very careful with any URLs or any links, whatever you get here. Right. So let us give Fishmailer, and this particular tool is going to make your work much more easier in generating perfect emails like this. So let us choose Gmail. Fine. Gmail, in case if you have if someone else is logging into your Gmail and you get a security alert, we are going to generate something like that. So let me type 3, and it is asking what is the target name. So the target name, we'll keep it as Omkar. So I'll type Omkar. This is my target name, Omkar B. Enter. Target email, I should be knowing his email. So let us keep it this way. It is Omkar B _23@gmail.com. This is Omkar's email address. And which day? Say we'll take it today. Today is Wednesday. Yes. So we'll keep it as Wednesday. And what date it is? It is 18. And what year it is? It is 2021. And timestamp. Okay, we'll keep it as 10 a.m. 10 a.m. And it is asking which month is this, and this is August. Yes, so it is August. Enter the country. We'll say someone from USA has accessed. Someone from US has accessed this. City, we'll keep it as Texas. And phishing URL. Phishing URL is where when he clicks that, you're going to get an alert. So we'll keep it as this way. We'll keep it as https://gmail.com. Yes. And enter name on the HTML file. We'll keep it as Gmail. That's simple. Enter. So it says a file is created. HTML file is created. Now, when you go look at this, Fishmailer. Fine. We have a template for Gmail which is created. Now, when you open this, see here, you get an exact similar kind of message which says Omkar was just used to sign in on a Chrome Windows, and it is from Texas, US on this particular date and time. And fine. And when you click this to give us a feedback on this alert, click this. When you click this, it is going to redirect to Gmail. Fine. Gmail. And when you type your username and password, this is the initial phase of attack. When I host this in my Gmail, and when this is a phished page of Gmail login, and when you give your username and password, or when it is asking you to change your password, you'll give your current password and you change your updated password. I'm going to get both the passwords, or I can do anything with this. But this looks legitimate. Yes, this looks like an actual mail from Gmail. Right. So creating these kind of links and creating these kind of I have seen people getting a bunch of OTPs on their mobile phones from various sites like Domino's. Okay. Yes, you have many Android apps which can perform this just to threaten you. You have this app called Bomber, SMS Bomber. You have SMS Bomber or OTP Bomber. And yes, you have Bomb It Up. You have a lot of apps like this in Android. You enter your victim's number, and the victim mobile, he is going to receive a lot of OTPs. This is just yes, T-bomb. Yes, you have T-bomb. You have this. This is just to threaten you. This is not a legitimate attack. This is just to make sure that your victim is frightened and he doesn't sleep. Fine. So we have a lot of tools like this. And yes, people have started using temporary phone numbers and temporary email address. So you should be careful when you are receiving any emails, or in WhatsApp. This can happen in WhatsApp. You might a guy might contact you saying that he is selling mobile phones from US for a very cheaper rate. And when you look at his mobile, yes, probably that is from a +1 and with a number of US. Don't get deceived by this. You get a lot of free service. Whatever I'm showing here is a free service. Why? Because I don't want to show you any paid tools or NSA crack tools, which will be tough to get. I'm showing you all free tools just to make you understand that anything might happen. So when you go for free, when I type freephonenum.com, see here, you go for this site freephonenum.com, you choose whether it is United States or Canada. When you choose United States, see disposable phone numbers. When you use these phone numbers and when you receive any OTPs, you will get all the OTPs here. Yes, you will get a lot of OTPs. This is just for creating an account and a lot of other details. Yes, when you're concerned about multiple factor authentication, I wanted to tell you about this specifically for Gmail. For Gmail, you might have a two-factor authentication which is enabled. Perfect. And in spite of two-factor authentication, in case if your Gmail gets hacked, do you think there is any possible way of recovering your account? Yes, you will be needing the following details. You will be needing the recovery email, which will be obviously changed, the recovery email, and the phone numbers what you have used. You should be having a list of phone numbers what you have used and the list of devices from which you have accessed this. And when you scroll down to the bottom of your Gmail, you will have log files. You will have to need a copy of these log files, and along with this, you will have to remember the list of last 2 passwords which you have used. Fine. So you have some important things which will be necessary, and this you call it as audit for your personal account. For your personal account, do it today or do it every month or do it 3 months once, 6 months once, but please make sure that you have all these details. When you have all these details and your mail is hacked, you can send these details to the recovery team. Probably it will take 7 business working days for your account to get recovered. This is just to prove that you are a genuine person and you're trying to recover an account which is being hacked. Along with this, there is one important file which you'll have to send. You'll have to send backup codes. Most of us are not aware of backup codes, Gmail backup codes, but Gmail backup codes is a set of like you'll have 8 codes. Why is this codes used? In case if you don't have any option to your mail, phone, devices, anything, you can use any one of these backup codes. And these backup codes will be present in the page where you go for two-factor authentication. Below two-factor authentication, you will have an option called backup codes. Your backup codes might look something like this: Gmail backup codes. Fine. Please save these Gmail backup codes. So it will look something like this. Keep a copy of this backup code somewhere else in case if your Gmail gets hacked. Fine. Then probably you can use these backup codes. How hacker bypass multi-factor authentication of all. How hacker is in case if your mobile is hacked, if he has hacked his mobile, hacked your mobile, fine, and he keeps track of the calls, whatever you get, the SMS and other things, the pictures what you take, it becomes very easy for him to get the OTP when he is trying to sign in. Leave it now. Say imagine by 2 a.m. in the morning he is performing this attack, and 2 a.m. in the morning, will you look at any message which comes to your mobile? No. So he can pretty much delete this. He can compromise your account. He can compromise your mobile. He can do whatever he wants. Yes. So phishing is one common mode of attack. We have, yes, ransomware and Trojans and malwares. Again, for Trojans and malwares, you have specific series of Trojans and malwares which is meant for iPhone, which is meant for Android, which is used for a lot of spying activities. Recently, you should have heard about Pegasus. As a common man, you don't need to worry about Pegasus because it is a costly affair. So Pegasus is for people who are in a higher position. who are politically influential, or any other person whose information we need. For those, yes, Pegasus might be used with any of the government agencies, and you'll also have to understand it is not only the only software which is being exposed recently. We have so much of softwares which is relevant to Pegasus. Fine. So with a lot of cyber attacks like this, I believe phishing is one common cyber attack which is targeting a common man, which is targeting usernames and passwords, which is for the cyber crimes. When you consider cyber crimes, phishing is one major type of attack through which a lot of a series of other attacks have happened. Fine. And yes, in case if you have any doubts, you can ask me now.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So we have here some of the questions. So basically, I don't know so much about this technical hacking and cybersecurity thing, but though we have some questions, and I would like to ask you to.
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, starting with what to do when this ransomware is attacked?
When the ransomware is attacked, probably the first thing which you will have to do is don't pay them the ransomware, because they are going to demand you $100. They are going to demand you $500. They are not going to stop. Mm-hmm. And they are not honest guys. Once if you pay, they are not going to send you the decryption code, decoding. No, they are not going to do that. They are going to demand more and more from you. So please understand, ransomware, the first thing which you'll have to do is don't pay the ransomware, and check what extension of file is this, and check in internet, do you have any option to decrypt the files. For most of the ransomware families, yes, we have the decryption keys in internet. In case if you don't have any, just format your laptop and try for backup options. You can get some of your data. That is the best option which you can do as an individual. But if you give it to a forensics lab, yes, people can work on that.
Okay, moving to our next question, sir. Is DOS a bug? Can we report to the websites? And how to find DOS and DDoS in real-time websites?
See, what you're asking is for bug hunting. Please don't report DOS attack. Don't use the tools, whatever I've showed. Don't use it from your computer. Don't take a site from Bugcrowd and HackerOne. Attack this site, bring the website down, and send a report to them stating that your site is vulnerable to DOS. How? Because I have brought down your website. Fine. They're going to sue you for this. We cannot do this. Fine. Anything which is going to slow down the server, which is going to tamper the data with the server or delete the contents of the server, is not acceptable in bug hunting. So you cannot do that. Fine. Yeah. DOS attack, yes, you can try with any of the input fields. You can check how the server is going to respond, not with bringing down the server entirely, but any parameters of the server. Yes, you can try a buffer overflow kind of attack, or a simple overflow kind of attack. Yes, you can try that.
Yeah, sir. Moving to another next question. When we use the server like Hostinger, GoDaddy, and DOS attack happened, that means bug in our website or bug in the Hostinger server, sir?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, why not, sir? When we use the server like Hostinger, GoDaddy, and DOS attack happened, that means bug in our website or bug in Hostinger server?
It is in the hosting website. It is not in your website. It is in the hosting website for sure.
And right now we have been seeing the fake follower things going around it. So will the Instagram followers work in real with these tools, or it is a phishing link? And will the Instagram knows if we know any tool to increase our followers?
Increasing your followers, doing it on an organic scale. Yes, you can market your profile URL. That is what happens. This is an organic way of growing your profile followers. You can go to different forums. You can go to different other question and answer sections, or you can go to Facebook. You can use LinkedIn to market your profile URL. Fine. And when people know about you and they wanted to contact you, yes, they are going to follow you. This is in one organic way, but it is going to be time consuming, and Instagram doesn't mind about this. But when you are going to simulate this with fake followers, sometimes Instagram is going to block your profile. Or when you go for any additional options or promotions, Instagram is not going to allow that. Why? Because you have grown your followers in an inorganic way, and it is all fake followers.
Can you give the list of tools and or best tools for use of bug bounty and penetration testing?
Okay, bug bounty. It's a very big platform, but a very basic tool will be Burp. Burp Suite will be one basic tool, and you have a lot of other tools. If you go for information gathering, then you have tools for information gathering. Then you have tools for subdomain enumeration. You have a lot of tools like this. Bug bounty tools, GitHub is one place where you can find a lot of tools. See here, you have tools for subdomain enumeration, port scanning, screenshots. You have a lot of tools like this. You can go for this. For subdomain enumeration, yes, we have different tools. You can go search in GitHub. Yes, probably you'll be getting the best tools. This can help you.
And sir, the best tool for call spoofing?
Call spoofing, you will have to do it on your own, but with the restrictions of Troy here, then it has become very tough for call spoofing. And we have few legitimate tools which is used by government agencies, but you won't have access to that. Sorry.
And sir, one more thing, bug bounty tips for beginners.
Bug bounty tips for beginners. Just see, when you bug bounty, a lot of people get crazy about bug bounties because they get bounties, they get cash. Fine. On when you see someone getting 1,000 USD or 100 USD, 500 USD because of bug hunting in in LinkedIn, then immediately you wanted to jump into this domain. That is okay, but you'll also have to understand, when you look at someone's bug submission, it might say SSRF. Immediately, what you'll do, you'll go to YouTube and you'll search what is SSRF. Yes, this is what you'll do. If you go to YouTube and search for SSRF, you might get videos for like for 1 hour, 45 minutes. You get for 45 minutes. But what is the video which you'll choose? You'll choose a video which is less than 5 minutes. Why? Because you don't have patience. You wanted to learn SSRF in 5 minutes. Please don't go for that. This is never going to work. Whenever you wanted to learn any technology, go for the basics. Bug bounty is something like this, where you have in detail concepts, in-depth concepts, medium level concepts, and then you have basic concepts. Just go with the basic concepts. First learn what are the what is P4 level bug, then target P3 level bug, then P2. You go with bugs like this, with categories. You'll find it very easy and you'll find it very interesting. And for this, yes, knowledge of networking is much needed. You should know what is an IP address. You should know what is a port number. Basic knowledge of networking is much needed, and basic knowledge of servers is much needed. You should be knowing about a lot of servers. You should be knowing about Apache server, Nginx server. You should be knowing what is WordPress, MongoDB. You should be knowing about a lot of technologies like this. Basic programming, like you should be knowing about Java and PHP. You don't have to be a developer, but basics of this you should know, and then go for bug hunting. Probably you will be able to make some sense. Without knowing anything, directly jumping into bug hunting is not going to give you any hope in bug hunting.
So can you please tell me the list of some open tools to resolve or find out issues?
Find out issues for what? Issues with website?
I guess someone has asked for it, sir.
Okay. Say when you can, in case if you have a website and you wanted to check if it is safe or not, go for this immuniweb.com. Immuniweb.com is going to give you, okay, Immuniweb website scan. Go for this site and give your website here. It is going to tell you what is wrong with your website. A basic analysis which can be done. Or you can go for a lot of, if we have a lot of websites like this which can perform, you can go for, search for tools like website vulnerability scanner online. Fine. When you go for this, any website which you see here is going to give you a lot of test results. You see, you have Immuniweb, You have Acrytics, you have no, not this. You have Site Check. This is one website. You have Detectify. You have a lot of websites like this which you can use to check if your website is safe or not.
Sir, see, I am not from this domain, so sir, I need to know some of the pronunciations, how to do the word pronounce, how to pronounce some of the words. Like some of people have questions how to do this VoIP calls. So
How
is
to do
this
wipe?
wipe? Okay. So how to do wipe calls, sir?
How to do wipe calls? You want to do genuine wipe calls, you can try with Skype or other things. But if you're asking for banned softwares, then you have different softwares. But recharging those softwares, you don't have a specific. I can give you a software name which you can use it for wipe calling, which will be anonymous. But recharging this with USDs, you don't have any genuine site for this. You might be losing a lot of money in recharging this software. So please don't go for that.
Sir, it is now been a common that we all of people have used so many emails in nowadays. So
Yes.
is it safe to use a password manager, because as many emails as many passwords?
Password manager, yes, at some point of time we'll have to go for a centralized management system, and you can go for one, but try to make sure that you're not making the job of an attacker much easier with just stealing this. You have Keychain, you have Google Chrome password manager, you have a lot of things with a lot of technologies, but we'll have to make sure these are safe. You are keeping that safe.
Sir,
whenever you come up with, you go for ease of access. What is ease of access? You wanted everything to be stored in your browser and you don't want to type your password. If that is the case, then you'll also have to be ready to get compromised.
Sir, after listening to all these things, I have a question in my mind.
Yes.
So is there any way whether we should know that our system is being hacked or not? Like my computer is being hacked until this time or not?
Yes, your browser, initially any sort of attack you'll have to understand will happen through browser. So the first thing you should avoid is downloading a lot of things from your browser. Fine. Downloading free movies using proxy, downloading free games, downloading different softwares. Your computer gets attacked from outside with the help of browser. So you should maintain browser security. Right. So when your browser, it will show you a symptom of opening new tab automatically, or it will come up. You will get a lot of pop-ups. You'll get a lot of ads, irrelevant ads. When your browser shows up symptoms like this, or when your browser is very slow, then you'll have to understand there is something wrong with your browser. Some attack has happened and it has already gone to your computer and your computer has infected.
Sir, just you have talked about the pop-ups.
Yes.
There is something that happens with me whenever I turn on my computer now. There comes some pop-ups, but the pop-ups are from command prompts. So are they safe or not?
Okay, these are the background running apps. You should go to Task Manager and check what apps are being used when they start up, or you can go to MS Config and check during startup what different softwares are automatically getting started, and you can stop it from there. So you should be looking at this. You can go for MS Config and check what.
I will, sir. I'll definitely going for do this, sir.
Yes.
So that's it, sir. I think most of us have asked the question, and if you guys have any kind of confusion regarding today's learning, you should ask it in the Q&A section, though sir is answering most of the questions, and yeah, we are active here right now, so do ask it. Switch
Okay.
USB.
How can I scan my nearby area cams? Nearby area scams. Okay, you can use Angry IP Scanner. Angry IP Scanner is one tool which you can use, but be careful when you're going for scanning public IP address. Angry IP Scanner is one scanner which is going to give you options to scan a particular range of IP address, and you will have to give your range of IP address starting from 0 to 255, so that any IP address means like any cameras or any servers which is connected to the internet will be exposed with the help of this simple scanner. And dark web things which Google and other search engines doesn't show. Yes, you can you will be getting in dark web or websites or the websites which don't want to get listed fine publicly, and yes, those websites will be in dark web. People use it for a bad purpose. You want to buy drugs, you want to hire an assassin or a hitman, or you want to buy weapons, you go to dark web and buy. But professionally speaking, please don't go to dark web, because you don't have as much as useful information here. Google can provide as much as of information what you need.
Sir, one question more, sir. Can you please tell us open investigation tool? Yes.
Open. Okay. Open source intelligence. We have different tools. It depends on what kind of information you are going to gather. If you're going to gather information about emails, yes, we have different tools like Harvester and other different tools which can help you with that. Or if you're going to search with people, then again we have different tools. You have Maltigo, which is one best tool. Maltigo, you will have to go for the paid version, which is going to be a one-stop solution for all your needs of your intelligence analysis. Yes.
Okay, sir. Angry IP scanner works need to be in a network to scan, or we can do it.
You see, Angry IP scanner, it has to be in your computer
or outside the network.
It has to be in your network, but you can scan public IP address with that.
Okay. So, sir, as we can see, most of the question has been answered. And guys, if you have any questions yet remaining, do ask it in the Q&A section, or else we are going to close it, as sir has invested his most of the times, and this session has been becoming more informative than a normal person can also, like you can say that he or she can relate to these security things. Whenever it comes to security purpose of view, everyone gets so scared, and sir has removed this kind of problems. Yeah, sir, some of people are asking about your contact details, your like LinkedIn profile or something like that.
Yes, I am available in LinkedIn. You can search with the name of Shankarraj Subramanian, and in Instagram it is with Shankarraj, and you can I think YouTube, if you search, you can get Shankarraj Subramanian. You get a lot of links here, my videos. In case if you have any doubts, yes, you can ping me in Instagram. I'll for sure I'll reply you back. And I hope I didn't waste much of your time. And,
no.
I have given you information so that it will be useful and it will be most practical. And again, I thank every one of you for your time and patience. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, that's been it for today. And I hope you all enjoyed, and this session has become more informative. I hope you all are doing great. Have a nice day to you all. And sir, have a great day ahead.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot for coming for the Graviton 2021.
Thanks a lot.
Great pleasure, sir, to having you at Graviton 2021.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.